for me. Thank you. I don't know how many of you have seen me before, have recognized me at all. Anybody? So I am not very available. So today, I am going to try and promote neuroscience to you, because that's what I studied and I like. And when the slides come on, we shall see the image of you. And I don't know whether you really see the images properly. Next slide. Yes. I can't even read my own things because it is very far. Can you read it? Okay. So even if I don't say it, you have seen it. Next slide, please. I was trying to show where the mind resides. I was trying to show where the mind, I think the image there is better. The image there is, now you see things which look like wires. You think things which look like, they matter a lot. They matter. Next slide, please. This is a bit more colorful and extremely complicated. Colorful and extremely. Every one of you has those connections. Every one of you has those. They matter a lot. Next. Now, when the technology comes, we visualize things. That is an image generated by magnetic tensor imaging. So it shows specific tracts where information travels. Next. So at a micro level, there are many cells, billions of cells in your brain, and they talk to each other. They talk, and the language, just wait, don't put that one yet. The language is electrochemical. So there is one word which I like. One word which I like very much. So I want to say this word to you. Transduction. It means information from one form is changed to another form. So we are going to touch ourselves. We are going to touch. Starts with your eyes. Touch your. So, what goes through your eyes? What goes through to the brain? Do you know? Really? Electromagnetic waves. Yes. Touch your ears. So what goes through the ears? No, please. Sound waves. They are mechanical. Right. Now let's touch the tongue. Tongue. So what goes through there? So there is a lot of chemistry in the food. There is a lot of chemistry in each of the chemicals have a receptor on the tongue. There are those for sweet, there are those for salt, there are those for sour, there are those for whatever. So the tongue. So then here Hey, what goes through the air? Molecules in the air. Molecules. So all those are transformed, transduced into action potential. Action, that is change in electricity in your cells. Action potential carry messages. Action potential carry. So when one cell is transferring the message to another cell, so hold the hand of your neighbor. So you have transferred something. You have transferred. Yes. So cells do that. Cells. So you go from electric to chemical. You go electric to. The chemicals are called neurotransmitters. They are called neurotransmitters. Then the receiving cell converts the neurotransmitter message into electricity again. So this is happening in your brain as I speak. Your brains are doing this as I speak, because I trust you understand what I'm saying. Next. So if you can see, which is not very clear, each part of your brain has a function. Each part of your brain has. Those of who use your mind very well, who think very well, who are creative, this is the side. This is those who have a lot of vocabulary and know many things and can speak in many languages on this side. Yes. And those who have great feelings, a lot of and emotions on the lower side are the tip. So each part of the brain has a function. Each part of the brain has, and the programs are generated in your genes. The programs are locked in your. So if your programs are wonderful, you get A. If your programs are not terribly wonderful, you get B+. If yours are really troublesome, you get 50 or 40 around there. You can change it. You can. Yes, you have to keep tricking, and you may create new connections. You may create new and increase your understanding. It's possible. It is. Next. Now, what is the mind? What is, having given you that experience, then what is? You can say what it is. Ultimately, a mind is what the brain does. Ultimately is what the brain. So do you really know what your brain does? Do you? Can you say confidently what your brain does? At least you know you think. At least you know. You make decisions. You reason. You create. Then you feel. You have emotions. You have. Then you have behaviors. Many behave. Yes, you are also very spiritual. You are also. All those are functions of. When you put them together, you have. From today, when you hear mental illness, you are talking about disorders of the functions that you see there. Can I repeat? Next time you hear the word mental illness, you know you are talking about dysfunctions in those. So mental illness is actually a brain problem. It is a brain. Here, next. Oh, that's too busy. That is. I am just talking about the programs. I am just talking about the programs of. Can you read them? Oh, sure, you can't. Should I read for you? The first one says, you receive and process information. You receive and process. You are doing it now. You are doing it. The second one is, you have feelings and emotions. Do you feel me? Oh. Why are you laughing? Can I repeat? Okay, this time I'll change the word. Do you get? All right. You are here. At the end of the semester, they will test you. At the end of the semester, they will learning and memory. Learning and so look at number 1. You receive and process. Sometimes you retain it, sometimes you don't. When you retain it, you learn. When you learn, you store. And then they will ask you to reproduce. They ask you to the evidence that you learned something and worthy of award of, yes. So then we go to the next one. You have a cycle. Wakeful, sleep. Wakeful, sleep. Be honest. How many of you dream? Hey, put up your hand. How many of you dream? Every day, some days. So, you also have programs for dreaming. Now, the next one is important. The next one is, I was reading the rules here. They say, don't express your sexuality until, I didn't see the word. Do not express, but you have a program. You have. So the next one, defense and, yes, survival. You must protect what you have. You must protect, yes. Next slide. So, what is mental disorder? What is mental? A disturbance of? No. Disturbance of mental functions. Disturbance of? Yes. So you disturb thinking, you disturb feeling, then you have problems of development, and you know you must have distress. There must be, yes. And also you may have disability, and it may disturb your functions. It may disturb. In simple terms, things have gone wrong. Things have gone in the brain, and it affects all the mental. Next. So here, this is technical. This is very, yes. There are severe mental disorders. There are severe, the type of things that people go to Butabika for. The type of things that people go, we call those severe. We call them. Then the next group are common, even here, yes, common mental. They are here, they are. How many of you are jealous? Yeah. How many of you get annoyed with your friends? How many of you tend to be anxious and even panic? How many of you stammer when they ask you to speak in the class? What if it goes on and on and on every week, every month, and you can't function as a student? Isn't it a bother? What if you spend 3 weeks, 4 weeks without sleeping properly? Will you function? Yeah. What if every night you dream about ghosts, and during the day you can't concentrate? Will you go to Butabika? Now, one time a lady came to see me, and she was troubled. She was behaving very badly. She said, "Doctor, what do I have?" This is not in the textbook. I created it. It is not. I said, "You have love sickness." I believe there are people here who have love. Yes, I believe it. I know. when you can't say to the person, but you know, you look attractive, I have been thinking about you every day. That is love. If it stops you thinking, you can't study, you are distressed, and that is love. It is not in a textbook. It is. Then the others are people who clean. You clean, you clean, you clean. Even when you are clean, you clean. You don't, So you are late because you are? So if you are sharing a toilet, they say, when are you going to finish? When are you going to finish? You say, wait a minute, I am about to finish. Obsession, obsessive, compulsive disorder. Obsessive, yes. Then there are those who cannot leave the home unless there is somebody with them. You see a big woman, can't leave home unless they have a small boy. They trot around. If they are alone, they collapse. If they are alone, the word is very big. The word is agoraphobia. Then there are some of you who can't even kill a cockroach. There are some of you who can't kill. I was talking to a lady. She said, if you have a bridge across a river, you have told her before she crosses, phobia of heights. Phobia. So common mental disorders include anxiety disorders. It includes fears. It includes worries, concerns. It also includes things like mild sadness and depression. The type of sadness you have when you fail an exam or a test. The kind of sadness you get when your friend says you are not good enough for me. The kind of sadness you get when you lose somebody you love. And the kind of sadness when your phone is stolen. It tends to last for a few weeks and a month at most. But they can be recurrent. They can be. This is the commonest problem in this university, I can assure you. So you need counselors. I hope you have. Occasionally you may need to refer to a psychiatrist. If your pay is good, I will offer my service so that I read the rules. No alcohol on this campus. I read. But when you leave campus, you may drink, is it? Don't drink here, but is it, sir? So drugs. How many of you drink coffee? Coffee. How many of you drink coffee? It's a drug. How much? How many of you smoke? How many of you smoke? This is strange. Is it against the rules? Oh, okay. Anyway, you know, when the birds eat fruits which are very ripe, they also get drunk. Did you know? So anyway, substance abuse is a big issue. Substance abuse is? Yes. Because socialization, I'm told, you must put everybody in the mood. You must put everybody, and alcohol does it. Then there are others who need to quieten their nerves. They are terribly anxious. Alcohol does it. But then there are those who use marijuana because they say it opens doors in the brain. Don't try. The doors will remain open for a long time. And you don't like it. So those are also part of the common mental disorders. But when you drink heavily, persistently, for a long time, then you qualify to go to Butabika. Lastly, I am going to show another slide. Next. So this one is really a recitation of how you would know that somebody has a mental. Yes. So do you really have an idea of somebody who has a mental illness that you know of? So one of the biggest problems is that severe mental disorders will show that they are not like you. They will show that they are not. They behave in a very different way from either they don't talk, or if they talk to themselves. Or if they talk, they will say things which you don't understand. Or if they talk, they make allegations of things which are completely incredible. Then we label those words. There are words we label delusions. There are things we label hallucinations. So there are things we label hallucinations. There are things we label delusions. A hallucination is when you see something when there is no stimulus for it. A hallucination is when you see something when there is no stimulus for it. It is generated where? That's very abnormal. That's very, except if you are dreaming. Except if you are, yes. Delusions is if you believe that all the cars which are parked on this campus belong to you. Or if there is a girl here, every time the VC is passing and he looks where you are, that's a sign he is madly in love with you. And you are waiting the day when he will declare. That is a delusion. Then there are people who move. You see them, they are counting. Then there are others who you see. Then a few will be. So those are abnormal behavior which are responding to messages from, yes. Those are severe. Those are, next please. So there is a syndrome of madness. There is a syndrome, very, very mad, critically mad. Everybody knows it. Everybody sees it. They walk very fast. They do everything with energy and vigor. They talk loud. They get annoyed very easily. They claim very grand things. They claim, he might say, I am king of the world. When I was in Malawi, some man said, I am God. And I said, hey, does your family believe you? He said, that's the problem. They don't. If you have a friend, who visit you and they talk and they can't stop talking and you can't interrupt them. Worry, please worry. And I come to knock at your door at 3 a.m. I have something to tell you. Next, please, next. This is completely the opposite. They look like life has gone out of their bodies. they are slow, they are lazy, they are fatigued, they can't do anything. They would rather stay in bed. They don't even clean themselves. They don't even want to get out of bed to go and eat. They may not even go to the toilet. They might do it. Yes. So this is very serious. And these are the type who think that life is no longer good here. They would rather die. They think things are better on the other side. So, severe, I don't expect many of you to have this. But since you look like 300, about 8 of you. That's what I know. You can come and see me if you're among the 8. Next. So I have been told to include epilepsy in my discussion. Epilepsy is an abnormal electric activity in the brain which behaves like a short circuit, which creates a kind of behavioral explosion. It is abnormal electric activity in the brain which produces an explosion, which manifests in altered body movement, maybe speech, and some other behavior. It lasts a short time. It lasts usually 1 to 2 minutes. Usually 1 to 2. If it is 5 and 10 minutes, it is not epilepsy. I can tell you this with confidence. It is somebody trying to say, I need help. We call it conversion disorder or non-epileptic. And it happens when people fall out of love and they fail and they ate the money the parents have asked. You keep shaking for the last 20 minutes and you pretend you are dead for 30 minutes. And when they say you'll be okay and you look in the eyes of your mother and you see she's really sorry for you, you ask for a drink. And then they go and look for extra money and give you and you come back. Don't do it. So here, the nature of epilepsy, listen, the nature of epilepsy will be determined with which part of the brain the short circuit has occurred. The nature is determined by which part of the brain the electric shortage has. So the epilepsy will look different, except if the electricity goes throughout all the parts of the brain, then the whole body is affected. So the epilepsies are different. There are those who talk, there are those who don't talk. There are those who fall, there are those who don't fall. There are those who smell things, very bad things. There are those who taste strange things, and there are those who hear things. Epilepsy has different manifestations. It is a brain. Is there a problem? Am I responsible? Maybe the last one. Epilepsy can also manifest as a spiritual uprising in your brain. You have visions and, what is the last word there? Revelation. People know the world. You know about Chibwete and the girl? That could have been revelation. But people died. Yes, be careful when people are preaching and they say things, they have visions of whatever. Cross-check. So if they preach with energy and they tell you and they to put color, ask for some assessment. We may help you. Next. So I was also told that I should talk about stigma. The original word stigma is a mark on the body, which is showing that you are marked, you are not like everybody, and it discredits you, disvalues you. You are devalued because you have a mark. So all the things I have said about mental illness, Would you like your mother to have them? Would you like your father to have them? Would you like your child to have them? Hey, why not? Why not? Why not? So that's the definition of, if you have anything about the way you speak, the way you talk, the way you smile, the way you walk, the way you do things which distinguishes you from others, that's already. But what about me? My wife has never asked. She thought my color was special. And my children have never worried. They think Dad is like this. It's not my fault, is it? Is it a fault of anybody to be ill? What is the reaction you should give? Do you know? What? You are Christians? I heard you singing. So last statement. None of us like to be labeled. None of us like to be, but if you hide it, so what will happen? If you have an illness and you don't want it to be labeled and you don't want to seek care, what will happen? I don't want an answer today. Go and think about it. So stigma is a problem. Stigma is next. So when you have stigma, there are consequences. Either you exclude yourself or others will, and you are likely to be discriminated, and you are likely to be rejected by even your own people in your home. Especially if you have epilepsy, they will put food, and they may have a small house for you, not in the main house. And very few people will want to deal. But that's not their fault. That's not. So should we? Then the next one, shame and embarrassment. Supposing you are walking on the road like one day I was, then this boy fell on the road and started. Yeah, he was lucky. The cars didn't run over him. So when he got up, he was very embarrassed. So supposing you men, a girl comes to visit you, and she has never disclosed. She has never, and all of a sudden she goes, what? Do you think you'd remain in the room? Next. I like this one. Reality is, bad things happen to people. Bad things happen. It could be you. Bad things happen. It could be. Think about it. Think. Yes. It is not just that you are bad, you are an oddball. Nobody invites these things. They happen. They are bad. They are ugly. But that's it. So what do? What should society do? We are going to end with the statement. Next. So, how many of you know where Nepal is? Here in Nepal, there was a prince there. He had had some mental problem. He got some depression. Then he wanted to get married to some girl. The parents didn't approve. Then in his frustration and anger, he shot the mother, the father, everybody in the royal family, and killed himself. That's bad. That is, what could have prevented this? Do you know? What could have prevented this? Do you know? Could this happen in Uganda? Think about it. Next. You are here. This is in your territory. This is Christian University. This is... What is Satan? Do you know? Really, do you know? Angels, heaven. He's jealous. But do you understand it? Do you understand it? That's the way they speak. That's the way. This is schizophrenia. This is a thought disorder. It is a thought. Next. So that explains what was happening. That explains what was. Yes. Can you read the text? The first one, that man had schizophrenia. The second one is what I experienced in Malawi. This man tells me I am God. You have to be very careful when you are a doctor. How do you react? How do you? So you are in the presence of inhuman. So I said, does your family believe you? Then he said, that's the problem. They don't. I didn't add anymore. I just stopped there. So be careful when people tell you they are angels of God, they are prophets and whatever. I have had a lot of prophets around here. I am not sure. I am not. All those who claim to be prophets, I am not. Yes. I'm very skeptical. Maybe that's part of the profession. Next. I'm sorry, you can't see this one. This one said he had visions of beautiful women, and one time he thought that he could make love with his pillow, and so you can't see it. Sorry, I beg your pardon. This one won't be a very good one. Next. So, society labels us. Society, and then we have spoiled identity. So when they do that, they have reason. They have, and I want you to pay attention to third line. In the United States, a few days ago, some man decided to fire people who are having fun. So would you like that sort of person to be your neighbor? It's very hard. Yes. Very hard. We had a boy in Butavika. His father divorced with a mother. Then the mother stayed with him. She would go out and drink, come home drunk. Occasionally, she would bring a man to the house. Then when this boy would get crazy, the mother would take him to Butavika. Then one time, he combined that the mother takes me to Butavika, the mother gets drunk, the mother brings a man in my father's house, so he killed her. So these things. So then I had a girl, her father deceived the mother at a party that he was taking her home. She had refused to stay overnight. Along the way, there was some kind of accident. Whether he caused it, I don't know. Then he was very sorry. The girl couldn't go home, so they went back to the house. I don't know whether it was rape, but they had sex. She got pregnant. When the girl was about 5, the differences between the mother and the father were gross. They separated. So this girl was left with siblings, and she was almost a carer. The father was not particularly very kind. He was cruel, abusive, starving them. So when she grew, she manifested all kinds of conditions I have labeled. In the end, she used to cut herself. She had slashed her wrists and arms. There were scars on the arms and legs. She attempted suicide many times. So, who was to blame? Who was? So trauma. Trauma can be in very many different forms. It can be in words, it can be in deeds, it can be physical, it can be psychological, it can be neglect. Trauma is broad. Trauma is, yes, that girl was traumatized. And she would get intense emotions, very intense emotions. And if she cut and saw blood, then she would calm down. This is maladaptive. This is that's wrong coping. That's poor. If you are distressed, go and seek help. Then the other ones you can appreciate. I don't see very thin people here, like those who are like, I think you eat properly, is it? You don't want to be like models in magazines? All right. Next, please. Yes. So let me make a few comments. Genes. Oshwera Buza. How many Bachiga here? Oshwera. If you marry where there is mental illness, you will take it. If you marry where there is epilepsy, you will. If you marry where there is sickle cell, should these people not marry? Should they not marry? You'll answer that one. Should they not? So genetics. Psychology is about how you react to the environment. Whether you are annoyed, frightened, angry, happy, sad, miserable, rejected, accepted, discriminated, all those are fall under psychology. Then social. Poverty. Put number one. Poverty. Poor housing, poor food, poor clothes, poor friends, poor whatever, no education, no. Poverty. Poverty. Then noise, your neighbors. I hope your church is okay. You don't pray for 6 hours in a neighborhood of people who are trying to sleep. I hope you are okay. I hope you are. Pray for 1 hour and finish. You can do another one next week. Why do you have to pray 6 hours if you don't go everywhere? You cause distress. You cause? Culture is written twice. Culture written. How many people are from Bujisu? How many people from Mayuge? In Mayuge, girls compete to get pregnant at 14. Really, is it okay? They can even... Then in Sudan, they circumcise and then even saw the place. So these things. Then another culture, when your husband dies, all the brothers have access. All the brothers have. Is it okay? Culture. Then there are people who have a culture where women don't eat chicken. If food is literal, the men eat fast. Yes. So malnutrition, I think I shouldn't go in detail. Next. So, post-traumatic stress disorder. Post-traumatic stress disorder. In Uganda, this is equivalent to war and violence. In Uganda, this is Equivalent to, you saw what was in the parliament? Here it is, here. So the last one, Sudan. The last one, South. How many of them are in Uganda? What kind of life? What kind? Yeah, next. So, how many of you are proud of your culture? What if you went to Burundi? What culture would you carry there? What if you went to, say, Brazil? Would you find your people there? What if you went to Germany? So be careful, Yes, if you are so closed as a culture and you cannot accept other people's, if you are not in your home area, you will suffer. You will. Yeah. How many are from outside Uganda here? Do you have friends? Wonderful. You have visited their homes? You've eaten in their houses? Hooray for the university. Hooray. You are doing very well. You are doing? Yeah. Treat your guests very well. Show them what you believe in. Pass on your values. Learn from them. Otherwise, identity can be dangerous. Education. Did you read the writing in a paper that Ugandans go to school, they listen but they don't? Is this where we are going? If you are not educated, it is very difficult to access information. It is very difficult to access, and knowledge which would make you live better, have health, will not be available. You are lucky you are here. Your children are lucky they will have you. Next. Alcohol. I think you won't see this. Let me make a point that in your brain there is a pleasure center. In your brain there is a pleasure center, and it is stimulated by tobacco, it is stimulated by food, it is stimulated by alcohol, cocaine, amphetamine. So people who are very good at seeking pleasure tend to use that system. It is not good to habituate. Next. So, how do we treat people? How do we treat? The first one is you must give first aid. You must give psychological. Please talk to your neighbor. Please talk. Talk to your friend. Talk to your teacher. Talk to your pastor. Talk to your fellowship friends. It may help. The next one, psychoeducation. Learn about your problem. Learn about. Usually counselors are very good at doing that. Counselors will help you. Counselors will. Number 3, spiritual. I think you are good at that one. You pray together. You pray. Next. There are many physical treatments. Then the next one, drugs and herbs. Then the last one, rehabilitation. So these are just subheadings. Next. This is very critical. This is, do you tell that you have an illness or do you keep quiet? Do you tell? So you must be able to. Next. Yeah. So what do you do when people have dangerous, threatening behavior? When you feel threatened, you are allowed by law. You are allowed by law to call police. You are allowed by law to call. Secondly, first emergency, you can tie them up. Nobody will blame you. You can tie them and then make sure they go to hospital. Make sure they go. but don't put them in a chain in the house. Make sure you call the police or social workers so that they take the person. Prevention is better than. If you think that you are going to hurt them and you don't tie them, they will hit you. They will damage somebody. So accept that you will be blamed. Accept that you will be. The patient will also blame you, but you have saved them wandering around getting bashed by other people. So first aid. So the warning that somebody is in danger is when they begin killing chicken and killing cats and killing dogs. That's a warning that you might be the next. So anybody who is aggressive and destroys the property, that's a warning. That is, yes, next. Hey, did you warn me? I didn't see the warning. I didn't see it. Sorry. I'm sorry, I was too excited. I didn't see the warning. Can I see the summary, please? Summary. Yes. So we must accept that the brain can become ill, and the result is mental disorder. And spiritual ideas are also part of the brain. So I want you to think of the brain as your smartphones. The brain as, if you treat them well, they will function. If you mistreat them, they will not function. And I think the brain does what you put in. What you put in is what? If you will live well, eat well, become good people, we shall also have good behavior, proper emotions, and spiritual well-being. Good, bad, evil, loving, caring, compassionate are also part of what we mean to be human, and these are products of the brain. Thank you for listening to me. Anybody who thinks they needed to see this, they can get it. I think they will retain a copy. But it is too technical.
Let us stand on our feet. Yeah, we appreciate what the doctor has shared with us, and yes, you can clap. And also, thank you for being patient. I know it's past a few minutes past lunchtime, but you're still here, so thank you very much. Let us share in the words of the grace. And now may the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ and the love of God and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us all now and forever. Amen.